Welcome to Different Functional. I am Ivy, the younger sister.
And I am Autumn, the older sister.
And we just want to share with you a little bit about who we are in the event that you know nothing about us, which you probably don't. So I started this business back in 2017, and my entire concept with starting this business was that I really hated the stigma that gets associated with dysfunction, coming from a dysfunctional background, having mental health issues that make you dysfunctional, being neurodivergent, and that somehow making you dysfunctional. Society has all these rules that you're supposed to follow and you're supposed to operate in certain ways, but let's face it, a lot of us just don't. And I really have always hated being labeled as dysfunctional. I find it really insulting. So that was the idea behind the name Different Functional. I wanted, through this business somehow, and I didn't know really at first what I wanted to do exactly, but I knew that what I really wanted to do was start a conversation about how do you get rid of that stigma? How do you start seeing yourself in a positive light and start rejecting those social pressures and creating your own path and seeing yourself as different but not defective. And after bouncing around for a couple of years through a few different types of services and things, I actually decided, you know what, maybe I should team up with my sister, Autumn, because we've both followed some pretty parallel paths. And I thought, you know what, maybe we could do something together. Maybe joining forces, we would be more powerful than just me on my own.
So when Ivy reached out to me, she had, the vague concept, and I'd actually been thinking pretty along the similar lines as she had, as she said, we're very parallel, was the idea that we wanted to use our experiences and our research. And to give you a little bit of background, we both came from a traumatic home. We spent decades trying to process trauma, figure out how to deal with and live with our various mental health struggles, and had to come to terms with our neurodivergence and how that affected our life. And so we had invested a lot of time and a lot of energy into learning and understanding and creating skill sets that a lot of times other people had reached out to us asking for help or asking for advice or asking for thoughts. And we both really wanted to find a way to kind of take these skill sets and press it forward and maybe make this path a little less difficult for other people that were struggling in the same ways that we had. So as we were talking, it kind of came up to both of us that, well, we are both really good at talking, so maybe we start a podcast. And so that's what we started with. We have the Different Functional Podcast, which is our main flagship product, if you want to call that. And on there, we talk about a variety of topics, mental health struggles, trauma, neurodivergence, just everyday life. We talk a little bit about everything, and we talk about it on that peer level. And I also write a blog on the Different Functional website for those of you that are more interested in reading than listening, if you're like me.
And we do have lots of things that we're hoping to do in the future. We are starting to develop some digital products, so those are going to be rolling out over the next few months. We also would love to get to a space where we could release an episode of the podcast every week instead of every 2 weeks. And we would love to interact more with our listeners, form a community. Like Autumn mentioned, we are really wanting this to be kind of a peer experience. We both know what it's like to feel very isolated and ostracized and not appreciated for your differences. And we would love to start these conversations and build that sense of community and help other people to, also be able to accept themselves and to love themselves and to feel connection to other people. So those are our goals for the future. I'm sure they'll continue to expand and grow, but that's kind of who we are right now and what we are currently working toward over the next few months or a couple of years.
And if ever you listen to our Different Functional podcast, which we hope you do, and if you don't, definitely check that out. We always end every episode with our tagline, different does not mean defective, because that is truly what we believe here at Different Functional.